Hey, and welcome to the Bountiful Harvest channel. It is me, it is Tia Simone Branch Pro Cannon, and I am here. We are resetting the channel, we are starting fresh, rebranding, and today, part of that rebrand is going to be a little personal. We are going to talk about resetting and rebranding your locks, right? How to reset your instant locks if you have straight, curly, or wavy 3A, B, or C hair. Okay? Come on. Okay, so I'm back and we are talking about 3 ways to reset your instant locks. So if you're like me, the word instant about instant locks kind of threw you for a little loop. It sounds like you're gonna go, they're gonna set it, you're gonna set it up, forget it, and that's what you got, right? But in real life, you are gonna need to do some things to your instant locks. So today we're again looking at 3 ways to reset it. I'll start with number 1. The first way to reset your instant locks, is to do a retwist. Or you can interlock them. That's probably what I'll do because, again, look at this hair texture. You see this? You see this? There is not a lot of kink there for it to hold a retwist very well without a lot of product. I'm going to still show you how, but it's not my jam, so I'm going to show you what I prefer after that, okay? So first up, boom, lock it up. Classic champion Talia Washid. I love everything about their line. This one I think is fantastic. It's very on brand for me. It has a little hemp in it, but it's all natural. It says it defines natural curls and adds moisture with rosemary, nettle, paraben free, all that really good stuff. Okay, so Talia Wajid will lock it up is what I'll be using. It is, oh, it's used. There's a little piece of hair in there in real life, right? Okay, so I'll be using this. I also, well, I really don't need any other tools or supplies in order to do a retwist. I do have a couple of clamps, which is really just for your benefit. But, well, yeah, I mean, because once you twist it, you're going to need to hold it, okay? So here is my lock in real life. Okay, and you can see that I've got a lot of new growth. I don't know how much I would say that is. I don't know if I would say it's an inch, it's centimeter, but it's a lot of new growth, right? So we definitely want to go ahead and get that done. So really easy. Boom. And I am starting with dry hair. I know a lot of people are really into starting with your wet hair and having these super crispy parts, which I do like a good part, but you can still do it from dry hair if you did want it to be wet, just to help you grab every little thing, grab every little bit. You know what would have been smart? As if I made a ponytail first. But that's okay. That's okay. It's real life. Let's go ahead and get this other hair just out of the way. You'll see that my instant locks are actually partial. My hair is completely out in the back, but you know, do you. Okay, so I'm gonna pull my lock back out, the one that I'm working on, and I'm gonna show you that my line is there. It does exist, but I'm gonna add a little bit of moisture to it. And if I wanted to clean this up, I really could. You know, it'd be great to have a partner to go through this with you. Go in, kind of use, we used to call them rat tail combs. They have another name now, but go in, clean that up, get it nice and crispy. You can actually use the lock it up kind of like they would in edge control, putting a little bit of gel on either side to help you get that really sharp line. Okay, If you realize that you've gone into the next lock, it's okay. You can always just back it out. But in real life, it's just a retwist. Your line should already be there. Okay, so now I've secured it, and it's really just as simple as it sounds. It's a retwist. So I'm going to roll it up. You can see that there's a few extra strands that are not included in a lock. I'm going to wrap them around really tightly. So even past twisting the hair, I went around a little extra with some of those loose strands and those broken pieces. And I'm literally just going to hold it with a clip. It's not complicated. You got this, okay? You can repair your own instant locks, okay? But if you're like me, the retwist is not the best. Here's why. It has to set. Not only does it have to set until like the gel dries, but it actually has to set until those loose strands that I showed you join and enter in and mat inside the lock, right? So if your hair texture is anywhere close to mine, you realize that that's going to take a little while. So again, not my best method, not a personal favorite, but I know a lot of people are into it, so do what makes you happy. But it's not a favorite because that means I now have to go weeks without washing my hair in order to allow that to really set and lock in. And if you saw the condition of my scalp, then you would know that going weeks and weeks and weeks without washing my hair is not an option. That's why we don't have traditional locks in the first place, okay? So just keep that in mind if you're choosing to reset your locks in that method, okay? Part of retwisting, again, I just want to take down that amount of new growth, okay? So I got my next lock, there's my part. I'm just gonna do a traditional interlock, okay? So I've got a latch hook here. I actually have it in 2 different sizes. I very much prefer this one with the ergonomic end. Boom, pow, you see it. Nice handle. I'm not super particular about 4-point method versus 2-point method. Feel free to Google those, or I'll make a video about them in the future. So what I do is I just feel the base of my lock for where it is. Really easy. One more time. Let me come back out. I feel my lock for where the previous one was. I'm trying to show you where it is. Okay, so where the previous one ended, it's nice and wide in this direction, right? That's not a happenstance. That's because that's where the previous one ended. So I want to go in actually the opposite direction through the loose hair. I'm literally just going to latch my lock inside the hook. It's called a latch hook. And I'm going to pull it close with my finger just because I'm anal like that. But anywhere that it fits over my lock, that the depth can go through, I pull it through. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now I did not use any gel on this one. I very much could have sprayed my water, used my gel. It depends on how clean of a look you want to have. But anything that's gelled is going to give you kind of that same issue as far as waiting to shower it and let it set. The good news is you're not in danger of it unlocking or undoing itself essentially because of the way that it's being interlocked inside with my latch hook, okay? And so even if it gets stuck, just give it a little wiggle. It usually pulls right through. I can actually pull the hook off and come on through. Boom, pow. Okay, so I'll go around and around until I feel like it's getting tight. Now at this point in the game, I'm trying to show you this, I have a choice to make on whether I'm gonna stop right there or try to do it one more time. I am gonna try to do it one more time. If I feel like it's not going, I usually back them out. I do not want to give myself that damage that comes from just straining the hair strand, trying to pull it through when it doesn't fit, right? So I've gotten a smaller hook. I still went in the same way. I'm still following my same 2-point pattern. So front to back, and then what is that? Left to right. Okay, so it's in. I pulled it through. Now this is a smaller hook, so it's a little harder to get it through. A little wiggle usually does it, but if I feel like there's too much tension, I just let it go. I push it back through, close my hook, and then remove it from my strand. I do not need to strain my locks in order to achieve that desire. At the end of the day, you know, every line being crispy clean, if that was really what I was after, then I would probably stay and wait for this to set. The interlock is not going to give you quite as tight down to your scalp of a look, but it will be, in my opinion, worth it to, number one, be able to still clean and condition my hair as I need to, right? Be able to get it wet, sweat, whatever. But number two, I don't need the tension, right? So it's just a matter of choice, pluses and minuses, okay? So that's way number one, retwisting or interlocking, okay? All right, so second way to reset your instant locks. Let's say that the issue with your instant locks is not new growth, but it needs a repair, okay? So let me see if I can find one because there's so many. Okay, repair. Usually when I'm talking about repair, there's something about the lock that you don't like, that you don't care for, whether it's got, let me see, like right here. I don't know if you can see that, how there's like little bubbles in it. And that's when it was locked, but it did not go through fully and did not pull tight enough. And so it created those. That might be something that you might want to repair. I might try to go ahead and loop all the way through with that and try to pull that, essentially pull this little piece of looped out hair. Go ahead and pull it back inside the locks. A tool for that might be these. Okay, these are again just standard crochet hooks. They're just a super small diameter, so these have a nice little thin hook on them. You can actually see the hook. Bam, pow, there it is. And you can actually go in, hook onto that section, reinsert it inside the lock, and then remove your hook, okay? So just really quick and easy, you can use a crochet hook. This one I got online. I'll see if I can link it. It is 0.5 millimeters, okay? So it's just a super small. They have them in singles. I don't use these very often. Again, I'm not really after super pristine locks, but it's, again, ways to repair and reset your locks. They have the double and the triple if you want to cover more distance faster, right? Sometimes I also find, look at this head full of foolishness, okay? Essentially bubbles in my locks. They're like little air pockets. Look at that. Real life, y'all. So they're essentially air pockets. And so the same theory applies, but because it's a larger loop, right, versus a smaller one, you can see where the lock is just really loose and it kind of bubbles up in that area. Same theory, I would just do it with a larger hook, right? I want to pull the entire lock through versus just that piece of hair, okay? So this one's tight, and actually I do prefer doing this while wet, so I might come back or try to edit this in, but it's the same concept. I'm going to pull through the lock. Again, be gentle, be gentle, be gentle. Navigate, wiggle it around as you need to. Come on through, grab that end and pull it through. I'm essentially gonna loop and crochet that lock back onto itself. Go ahead and remove my hook in order to get that done, okay? Again, moist hair is going to work a little bit better for that because that'll allow the strands to kind of loosen up a little bit. So I'm not going to fully do it because my hair is not wet right now and I don't want to damage it, okay? All right, but those are different ways that you can repair your locks, okay? Because we're talking about 3 ways to reset them. So retwist, repair. Third one, favorite, and the one that I'll be spending the most time on is to remove and reinstall. Okay, so I've got this one bad boy. And I love it dearly. You can see that my my interlocking, it did start. It just hasn't made it all the way across my head, right? But I got this one bad boy. Look at this, and it just hangs out loose. I've been a little bit nervous to start a full lock right there, just because it's not fine enough. Had some damage to it. It's not fully grown. You know, being on the edge of my scalp, it is a little weaker in that. It's just kind of part of aging. I've accepted it. I'm almost 40, and so my edges are getting weak. And so rather than forcing my hair to start a new lock in that place, I'm actually going to remove the lock right next to it and reinstall it. Okay, so that's step number 3, remove and reinstall. Oh, but Tia, locks are forever. Oh, they're super not forever. I'm sorry, but I do this. I remove and reinstall my locks on a regular basis as needed. I actually installed them myself in the first place. Now, how long it'll take you to remove them? Super great question. It super depends on your hair type and of course the length. Now, because again mine are partial locks, it was not locked all the way down the strand anyway. I like leaving it straight like this, which is essentially just kind of a bit of a blowout. But I can also kind of do like a wash and go situation and kind of let those waves and curls come out and play. But if you're like me and you're watching this video to this point, it's probably because your hair is somewhere in the 1, 2, or 3 group, meaning it's straight, it's wavy, it's curly. My waves and curls fall in a 3 category. Somewhere between 3A, B, and C are all over my head. Most people do have different textures around their head. In this area, I think that it was a 3B, but it's kind of approaching 3A, just again with age. My texture is kind of loosening over time. My gray hairs don't curl, right? Like my natural color does. And so you'll see that as I'm talking, I'm just removing it like I would any other tangle, just nice and gently. I'm not working from the top, but I'm working from the bottom going up. I might use a tool or some other implement just to kind of loosen it a little bit. So see, I just loosened it, because essentially all a knot is a tangle, right? It's a tangle in your hair. And when we say that your hair has fully locked or your locks have matured, is when the tangles become tighter. But part of them being instant locks and, you know, having a different hair texture no matter what your race or ethnicity is, part of having your own texture is you know how to work, hopefully, with your texture of hair and how to remove your tangles, okay? But if you're not sure, I'll share with you how I do it. So just like this, I'm essentially almost like unbraiding it, if that makes any sense. I know it's not a braid, but bear with me. The way that we installed them was with that 2-point method, right? Being interlocked. Now, if they were just twisted on each other, then that might be a different situation, like if it was a twist down or comb coils or something like that. But because, or even like sponged, you know, I don't know, you might be a guy, you might be a girl with sponged locks, just whatever method you use to start them. Essentially, there is an undoing. Now, how much time it'll take, whether or not you'll want to go through that process short of cutting it. I think that's really what it is that we're just impatient. We don't want to take the time that it takes. But very much a process, okay? So now I'm going to hush up. I'm going to let you fast forward. Or I'm going to let the video fast forward. You stay right here. so if you just saw what I did, I actually went back to check it to see if it was tangle free. I realized that my comb was getting stuck. It's a fine tooth comb. It got stuck a little bit. So I realized that there must be a tangle in that area somewhere or something else that I need to continue to remove. So I went back just kind of to my finger combing, seeing if I feel anything, if I'm hitting any snags. Okay, now in real life, okay, and I'll clean this line before I do my reinstall, but in real life, all hairstyles, look at that, that's fun. Okay, you can see that again, there's some breakage, some damage, the hair really tapers off as you go through. This lock is not without any casualties. Okay, on my table. You can see that. And that's just part of the locking process. Now, some of that is different bits of buildup. And you can kind of see that that's kind of woven in there. But also, it's really just shed hair. Some of it is, again, from breakage. I'm not going to deny that. We're on a journey. But most of it is actually hair that is naturally shed. You lose so many strands a day, and what they do is they get caught in the lock, and that's how the locks kind of puff or get larger from that retwisted version when it's all just fully attached to your scalp versus kind of the end result. A lot of that difference in the circumference of your lock is those shed hairs. Okay, so that's what you're removing when you remove the lock, and it just frees up your hairs to be what they are. Okay, so really quick, we're gonna reinstall this. It is my water bottle, just water out the tap. Okay, I'm gonna comb that through a little bit. Sorry, it's the stuck on my hair. Okay, and again, I'm gonna clean this line. I try not to go too crazy about having super sharp lines, because I think part of the whole lifestyle is that you have a more natural look, and in real life natural looks, the lines aren't always so prissy and perfect. But again, we know the different ways to pull them inside. If I want to pull it into another lock, I can. If I want to remove that hair from this lock and pull it into this one, I can. I would just recommend doing it in smaller sections so your locks don't suffer a lot of trauma. Brush that off a little bit so it doesn't get caught inside. I wish I was better at this, but that's okay. I take my time with it. I'm actually not going to remove that piece because it seems like it's really firmly implanted into the next lock. Coming up front, of course, there's no line up here, but I don't want to be really sharp on those ends, okay? I'll do just a dab of this. I mean, just like the tiniest amount ever. I don't even know if you can see where it's on my hands. There's like a little bit of sheen on the tip of my finger, and that's how much gel I have, okay? But that's, again, how I prefer it. I think less product equals less buildup. That makes sense in my head. Actually, I don't like the way that I had that turned, so I'm going to turn it the other way to start it. Because it's on the front, I'm going to pay a little attention to what it looks like. And I'm going to help it out a little bit because I'm going to instantly lock this, but I'm going to help it because the hair is so fine. Now, some people will tell you to put a rubber band on your ends and then start to loop it through because it just needs something to help it catch. Because I'm leaving my end out, I know that I don't want to go all the way down, but I still don't want to use a rubber band because I feel like that just leads to more breakage. So, you know, holler if you're with me. So what I'm going to do after just doing a little twist to kind of help me get it started is I'm going to put it into 3 sections. Okay? And this is just how I'm starting it. But again, the hair is so fine and it doesn't have a lot of kink and I don't want to do a lot of back combing because that would, in my head, lead to more breakage. So this is the way I've chosen to start it, is with a little bit of a braid right here. I'm going to braid it down. as far as I want the lock to go. Okay, keeping in mind, okay, that braid was way too high, so we're gonna rewind that. Gonna undo it. See, it started to lock already. So we're gonna undo that a little bit. I'm just gonna kind of try to gently remove that. Again, I don't have to quote unquote unbraid it. I just go through that same process. So what I'm doing right here, you can see that's where it is, but it's just hair tangled on itself. So I'm gonna pull a small section out, slide it away. I'm coming from the top, I'm getting a very small section, just a couple of strands, and I'm sliding it away, okay? And then I'll be able to see exactly where that tangle is. Small section, sliding it away. Okay, so that's just another way. Boom, call that a bonus. Okay, so what I wanna do actually to reset this, got a little something there. Go back and finger comb through it just a little bit more. Remember, I'm just being as gentle as possible. Water brush. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start my braid lower, because my braid is going to be my loose hair. My braid is going to be the hair that I want to remain out. Again, I have partial locks. If you want none of your hair to remain out, then you want to make it as short, as small as possible, realizing that it does still need to exist and hold it. Again, if you want to put a small clip or a rubber band or a small elastic down there, that is totally you. But I'm going to use a braid to help secure the hair together as much as possible, realizing that it tapers off. But I want my braid to begin where my lock will end. Remember, it's a partial lock, so I'm going to actually have that hair out either straight or possibly even curled at the bottom. Okay. So I'm just making my braid really loosely, like really loosely, realizing that it's not going to stay in my hair. It's not going to become a foundation of the lock. And actually what I just did is I went in and I pulled it down. I pulled the top of the braid down, if that makes sense. Again, I only want to braid through the ends. Now, I've not gone all the way down the end of this, but you can actually see where, if my hand is going in, let me see if I can show you. It comes down and it gets caught, right? And so now that's the new top of my braid. So my lock is going to be from my scalp all the way down to that point, because that loose braid, once I slide down, has secured it, okay? And that's all I need to do, rubber band free, okay? All right, so let's try this again. It's still a little damp from last time. Lightly apply a little of my mist. I've already figured out which way I want to twist it. The twist is just to help secure in some of the hairs that would try to escape, because they're essentially too short to get inside the lock. Like especially like this braided hair, and because it's so tapered off, that twist is just to help pull them in. Now you notice that some of my natural kind of baby hairline is still out, because if I try to force it inside, it's gonna rip off, okay? It is what it is. Now usually I pick which hook I'm gonna use based on the size of the lock. Even though the part is pretty big, the lock is still pretty narrow. So I'm gonna use this one. Same process, come up. I just took that end of the hair, put it inside, and I'm closing it and pulling it through. And that's the first part of that lock. So that one was from the bottom up. So the next one, remember, it's just a 2-point. Now I could go this way and pull it forward, but I'm not sure how great that'd look as an end result right on the front of my face. So I'm gonna pull it back from the end, but still the same process. I opened the latch hook, slid it through. Ah, Okay, trying to do this in slow-mo for you guys, and the hair is just hooked on. My latch hook is already pushed closed, and I pull it back. So then it's just a matter of repeating that process all the way up the strand. It goes faster than you think it would. Okay, so at this point in the game, I've realized that I am doing really well. Boom, pow, look at that. And so like action, this is actually coming close to where my braids started, but I can show you how to do that. But it's really the same process, but instead of going through up here, I'm just gonna go through down here, okay? But, y'all, it's been 5 minutes, more than 5 minutes. And even though we're making great progress, my hair's a little long. Luckily, boom, pow. Got a couple needles, so I'd love to try these out. Uh-oh, now it's like threading a needle. They don't ever mention that part. Real life, not a movie. Okay, so I thread my little needle there. If I want, if I'm really smart, I can use my hook to thread my needle. It's not genius. But this needle's not quite thick enough for this lock to really secure it on and hold it in place like it's genuinely designed to. But that hooking action, that curve in the needle is still gonna help me loop it through my lock and kind of be my little cheat code to get this done faster, okay? So I feel the lock for whatever direction I was previously in. Remember, whichever way it's going wide, you can actually kind of feel it down at the base. So it looks like my last loop was going down from the top. So I'm gonna come this way. Yeah, because I wanted to pull back away from my face. See, and it's just that simple. I don't have to do any of the latching motion. I'm literally just going through the direction that I want it to go through. So now I can really speed up that process. Okay, so I'm getting close to the root. Still following that same process. Trying to get in close so you can see it. Sorry, I have really dark hair. That's Flake. But those other spots, those are my grays. Okay, so you can see I've gotten down pretty close to the root with the needle. The hair is inside it, no more loose ends there. And we've repaired it. So now I would again go through that process of seeing if I want to try to get one more. But again, if I feel too much tension, that's just your body telling you no. And so always have a great relationship with your hairstylist, even if that is yourself, to let them know, hey, that's not working. It's too tight, right? You're allowed to say those words. It's too tight. Okay, so now I've got that. You can see a slight bump, right? A little pocket of looseness or change in texture when I change tools. So again, I can repair that. So I'm essentially going to open that little spot up, right? So that's my future lump waiting to happen, right? Just open it up. I need to close it, go through, and just keep on going through. opposite directions. Is it still there? Yep, sure is. So what I'm doing, instead of rotating my hand placement, I'm rotating the lock. So that I enter through a different place every time. I'm not re-entering through the same gap, okay? I feel like I can get another one through here without applying too much tension. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And she is a beauty. Don't worry about her being thin. She is going to thicken over time. What you see me doing right now is removing that braid that I used to start with. Remember, I just grab a small section and slightly pull. Up. And remember, tension on your hair is its way of telling you that's as far as it goes, okay? Stop ignoring that. Learn to listen to your body. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you learned something, you gained some knowledge, you got some value out of this. If you're going to try one of the lock or resetting your locks methods that I did today, let me know how it went in the comments. If you have a YouTube channel, oh my gosh, I would love to engage with you as well. Drop in the link to your first video, because this is my first video on my new channel. And well, I mean, there's a couple of things here, but we're resetting, you know what I mean? This first one where you see my face. So come on in, like, subscribe, link below. This channel is, again, Bountiful Harvest. It's all about a journey to health and wealth. So yeah, welcome to it. Welcome to our Bountiful Harvest lifestyle. And like, comment, and subscribe.